The celebrity wing of WWE's Hall of Fame is known to provoke very different reactions from fans. Those who are in favour of it will note that WWE's history is rich with visits from the societal elite, that the company's success has sometimes been spurred by their guest stars like Mike Tyson and Mr. T. Others see it as an inane and desperate grab for media attention. As Bob Holly once pointed out, you don't see the NBA inducting Jack Nicholson into their Hall of Fame just because he goes to all the Lakers games. But it's true, WWE's standing as a global franchise owes part of its growth to well-received interactions with outside stars, so the celebrity wing isn't all that ridiculous. Some inductees, however, do deserve the honour more than others. Mr. T and Mike Tyson were both highly visible during paradigm shifts for the McMahon Empire, so their residence is justifiable. Even now President Donald Trump helped pop a record buy rate for WrestleMania 23, so sure. But the likes of Snoop Dogg, Drew Carey and even Arnold Schwarzenegger feel like they were chosen on the basis of, well, they were free that day. It's subjective as to what celebrities really made an impact on WWE. But here at Cultaholic, we're more than happy to make suggestions on who WWE should put into their Hall of Fame celebrity section, and most of them would probably be free that day. I'm Adam Pachisi from Cultaholic.com, and these are 10 celebrities who deserve to be in the WWE Hall of Fame. Join us. Number 10, Mickey Rourke. Rourke's brush with WWE could have been even greater. Had he not listened to the advice of his agents and handlers, he would have gone full Randy the Ram and worked a match against Chris Jericho at WrestleMania 25. Instead, the one-time Hollywood bad boy decided against the publicity stunt, and we were instead treated to 65-year-old Jimmy Snuka in action. Damn it all. Consideration for Rourke would go beyond just the haymakers he dealt Jericho at the event. His portrayal of Randy the Ram Robinson in the Academy Award-nominated film The Wrestler was without question the finest representation of the grappler's life in contemporary film. While some in the business loathed the movie with the fury of 1,000 angry gods, others were deeply touched by the melodrama and heartache. Roddy Piper is said to have broken down crying in Rourke's arms at one of the movie's screenings. Whether one views the movie as unflinchingly realistic or a gross exaggeration of a wrestler post-glory, the earnestness with which Rourke played the aging, stubborn Robinson was award-worthy. Rourke himself gained great respect for the business during his grueling, painful training under AFA. While Rourke's probably too free-spirited to be tethered to WWE, there aren't many greater ambassadors for the sport than a Hollywood star who immersed himself deeply into that world, even just for a little while. Number 9, Ray Charles. Charles made just one appearance in WWE singing America the Beautiful at WrestleMania 2 in 1986. To those who heard Charles perform that particular rendition, it was an absolute masterpiece. Charles didn't need auto-tune to modulate his voice to some median hell, he just let his heart and soul guide the words out. His personal charisma blended with the hopeful patriotism to make his version stand out above the basic rest. There wouldn't be much else to justify an induction for Ray Charles. In fact, WWE would probably steer clear of doing so since, with the exception of one lone wrestler annually, they don't allot much room for posthumous inductees. Charles died in 2004. Nonetheless, it would be pretty cool to see WWE honor one of its most genuinely touching moments, as well as an artist appropriately referred to as the genius. Number 8, William Shatner. It feels a bit strange to go from a bona fide musical icon, an undoubted pillar of the overall music field, to the individual who butchered Mr. Tambourine Man. Shatner, unlike Charles, has the distinction of making multiple appearances on WWE programming, which isn't to say that he even did anything remotely bordering on artistic achievement. Actually, that's a wee bit of a lie. Shatner's guest hosting appearance on Raw did net us the faux commercial of him singing the Superstar entrance themes, which pins the intentional irony meter with a resounding ding. If you combine that with the fact that he once monkey flipped Jerry Lawler in 1995, at age 63 no less, you could argue that Shatner's wrestling resume is diverse enough. If you consider who has already been inducted, you can ask yourself, has anything he or she has done been more impactful than Snoop Dogg driving around a modified buggy to the ring at WrestleMania 24? He dramatically said the booyaka once, so sure, the answer's yes. Number 7, Regis Philbin. The excitable, animated talk show host was a fixture for Americans on weekday mornings, and his chipper drawl made for easy imitation. His on-camera resume for WWE is basically confined to some MC duties at WrestleMania 7 in 1991, which included backstage interviews as well as commentary for the main event, so there's that. Where Philbin deserves a bit of respect was for his willingness to give WWE a public forum. When other media outlets thumbed their nose at the supposed inbred moronics of pro wrestling, Philbin was all too happy to have the company stars as guests on his program for many years. The likes of The Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, Steve Austin, and Hulk Hogan were welcome because Regis himself was an enthusiastic WWE fan. When others closed their door, a genuine star like Philbin gave McMahon's performers a big audience to be seen in front of. This contrasted greatly with his co-host Kathy Lee Gifford, who abhorred the wrestlers. For that reason, anyone who would consistently do something to make the insufferable Gifford miserable should surely be awarded with some sort of lofty honor. Number 6. Bob Barker. In the putrid wasteland that was the guest host era of Monday Night Raw, we were all granted a crystal blue oasis in the form of 85-year-old game show legend Bob Barker popping up for a night. What became evident very quickly, especially to those who had never seen a showcase showdown in all their lives, was that even an octogenarian version of Barker was still way more entertaining than any C-list schlub that WWE keeps on speed dial. Barker's interactions with Chris Jericho in particular during a mock pricing game was so genuinely funny that even a consummate pro like Jericho had difficulty stifling legitimate laughter. Barker's an old showbiz pro whose interactions with real people on decades worth of The Price is Right episodes sharpened his comic chops to a fine point. His effortless wit and improvisational skills put every other host to shame. For making Raw's guest host infatuation worth it for one solitary night, let's give Barker one more shout out with a Hall of Fame induction. Maybe he could even give Chavo Guerrero a judo chop for old time's sake. Number 5. Motorhead. Limp Bizkit may be WWE's favourite band, and they may have once done a surprisingly nifty cover of Metallica's Welcome Home, but they mightily pale to the sound and fury of Lemmy and company. Generally, the metal gods would appear to play Triple H down to the ring, which meets the minimum requirements for a celebrity WWE induction. Going beyond the WWE scope, their theatrical induction would be a deserved thumb in the eye to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, who have never inducted the band. What would you expect from a group of out-of-touch clods who didn't put Black Sabbath in for a good decade or so after they were first made eligible? When Pete Rose was made the initial WWE celebrity inductee, it was a somewhat tongue-in-cheek shot at Major League Baseball for keeping the all-time hits leader off their Hall's ballot. Lemmy may have never gambled on baseball, or he may have, Lemmy did lots of things, but a Motorhead induction would still make a cool statement. Number 4. Floyd Mayweather Jr. Well, for one thing, he did what the easily triggered WWE stars on Twitter couldn't do, and that's silence Conor McGregor. Vince McMahon would surely admire Money Mayweather since he's more than lived up to his nickname as a monster pay-per-view draw inside the boxing ring. His victories over McGregor and Manny Pacquiao have each done more than 4 million pay-per-view buys. To put that into perspective, WWE's most bought pay-per-view ever was WrestleMania 28, which did about 1.25 million. WWE attempted to use Mayweather's drawing power at WrestleMania 24, hoping that it could possibly top the then record set by the previous year's Mania, which President Trump helped to bring to new heights. Mayweather's oddball confrontation with The Big Show was good for 1.024 million buys, short of the record, but still good enough for what was then the third highest buy rate in WWE history. As of now, and probably forever thanks to the WWE Network, WrestleMania 24 is the 6th most bought WWE pay-per-view in history, and one of only 6 pay-per-views all WrestleMania to break 1 million buys. Mayweather deserves his share of the credit. Number 3. Lawrence Taylor. No, LT didn't help the WrestleMania reach the financial success that Mayweather's did, falling about 700,000 buys short. What Taylor did do, however, was over-deliver in very dark times for WWE. When the company was at its commercial and creative low, the legendary New York Giants linebacker gave one hell of an in-ring performance. It was internet writer Scott Keith who called Taylor's match with Bam Bam Bigelow the Savage Steamboat of celebrity matches, and it's not hard to see why. For 12 minutes, hints of greenness aside, Taylor looked like an absolute world beater, a heavyweight wrecking machine with deadly strikes and authoritative application of genuine moves. Credit goes to a consummate pro like Bigelow for working to carry him to that level, but Taylor more than held up his end. While Taylor's had some troubling legal issues in recent years that might cause image-conscious WWE to steer clear, his performance at WrestleMania 11 is otherwise worthy of Hall recognition. There hasn't been a celebrity match on par with Taylor Bigelow before or since, and that counts for something. Number 2. Andy Kaufman. Kaufman's creation of pro wrestling lore never made it to the WWE stage. The rail-thin performance artist wanted to bring his absurdist intergender wrestling champion of the world act to the company, but was turned down by Vince McMahon Sr. Instead, Kaufman brought his elaborately honed villain character to Memphis, where he and local hero Jerry Lawler squared off over Kaufman's distinctive attitude towards the city. What followed was the stuff of legend, as Lawler coaxed Kaufman into the ring and eventually pile-drove him. The ostensible publicity stunt was so well executed that a full decade passed before it was officially acknowledged as a work. Kaufman enjoyed kayfabe and the professional wrestling medium so much that it was later revealed that he never once cashed a single check he'd earned from working Memphis. They just piled up. His dedication to working Memphis crowds while playing the ideal wrestling villain was far and above what most celebrities in wrestling would ever dream of doing. The day Andy Kaufman goes in, perhaps Tony Clifton can accept the award and insult the audience for 10 straight minutes. Lovely. Number 1, Cyndi Lauper. There are only 3 possible explanations for Lauper not being in the WWE Hall of Fame. She's not interested, her schedule hasn't had the opening, or WWE has forgotten their history. Mr. T may get most of the glory for headlining the first WrestleMania alongside Hulk Hogan, but without Lauper, there is no rock and wrestling connection. In 1983, by chance, Lauper met Captain Lou Albano on a flight to Puerto Rico. After striking a friendship, the wrestling manager agreed to appear on Lauper's Girls Just Wanna Have Fun music video, playing the role of her father. The connection would have far greater implications for professional wrestling, as WWE, in the midst of their expansion from territory into national powerhouse, got their hooks into Lauper and used her for a pair of crossover MTV specials in 1984 and 1985. The shows did ungodly massive ratings and brought WWE into pop culture prominence. It was Cyndi Lauper's musical celebrity that allowed WWE to connect with MTV, her fame boosting McMahon's promotion into heights never before seen. Her involvement goes beyond managing Hogan and Wendy Richter and tussling with Albano and the Fabulous Moolah. Cyndi Lauper could easily be credited for where WWE is today, as a sports entertainment giant. More than any other celebrity that WWE has honoured, Lauper changed the wrestling game. So that's our list. Let us know what you think in the comments below, and you can follow me on Twitter here. If you enjoy what we do here at Cultaholic, you can pledge to our Patreon. That's patreon.com/Cultaholic. And most importantly, don't forget to hit subscribe and join us.